Welcome to HOTT, the Hybrid and Online Teacher Training course at Craven Community College. In this video tutorial, I will demonstrate how to make modifications to your course after you have imported it into your shell. Each semester, your online course shell will need to be prepared for the new semester after import from your template or course from the prior semester. Dates will need to be changed to reflect the current semester, and updated versions of course materials will need to be added. So let's take a look at this course that I imported to see what changes will need to be made for the new semester. Typically, at the beginning of each semester, I look at the college calendar to determine the schedule for my course. So the weeks in my course run from Monday morning at 12 a.m. until 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night, when all assignments for the week are due. Your schedule may be different, and you will need to map it out ahead of time using the college calendar. So as you notice in my course, each week under the label Learning Checklist, I put the dates for the week. This helps the students just understand that all of this work needs to be done during this period of time. But of course, after I import the course, I'm going to need to change these dates to reflect the new semester. So that would be easily done. I already have my editing turned on, and I have this label here, so I'm going to edit settings. And I would simply just type the new dates here and then save and return to course. So I would go through my course and update all of the dates for each of the weeks. In addition, in your syllabus, part 1, you should have an agenda. And of course, you will need to update your dates and assignments for the semester as well there. The next change I need to make is to delete one of the announcements forums. Every course shell comes with an announcements forum already built in, so I need to delete one of these simply by going to Edit and Delete. And that way students will only see one announcements forum, and I can use that to post announcements. I also like to rename mine, so this little pencil icon allows me to rename this, and I just simply like to call it Course Announcements, and once I select Enter, it will rename this forum. The next item to take a look at is to make sure that I've uploaded my most current syllabus part 1. So that is simply done. I have imported my old syllabus part 1, but of course the dates have changed and everything else. So I can go to Edit, Edit Settings, and the old one is here. So if I click on it and delete, it will give me the opportunity to upload my brand new syllabus here in this area. Next, I need to make sure that the dates are correct for my syllabus quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and edit Settings, and I will expand all so I can see all of the settings. And the important piece that I need to make sure is correct is the timing, because these are the old dates, and so the syllabus quiz is going to close in the past, and so we need to go ahead and set the date for the new semester. And again, we want to open the quiz at 00 on the first day of class, and we want to close it at 23:59, which is 11:59 p.m. on the census date. So you need to go ahead and find your census date, as we discussed in a previous tutorial, from your web attendance roster, and set your syllabus quiz to close at 11:59 p.m. on that date. Everything else in here probably is going to be just fine, but you can always check your settings and make sure they're how you want them to be. Another very important item to note is that even though you may have locked down your course sections so that students would have to complete the syllabus quiz before they can move on to other sections or materials in your course, when you import, those lockdown settings are removed. So you every semester need to go in and lock down your course again. So I have covered that in a previous tutorial, but just as a reminder, you can go to the section, select the gear, restrict access, and add your restriction. And of course, you're going to base it on the grade of the syllabus quiz. So let's find that syllabus quiz. And the grade must be greater than or equal to whatever you have determined it would be. Mine is 80%. and I'm going to save changes, and what that does is it locks down that section so that the students cannot access it, and it'll even say restricted, not available unless you have received a required score on the syllabus quiz, and you need to do that for your first 3 sections. So those settings do not come over when you import, so you need to do that again at the beginning of every semester. Another area that got a little skewed after import was that my instructor block got moved down in the list of blocks, and I always want to keep this at the top right in front of the students. I will have this 4-way arrow, and I can drag my instructor block back up to the top where it will be visible to the students. I also like to hide future weeks so that students can only see the current week's materials and assignments. I can do that by hiding topics that will occur in the future. So for example, at the beginning of the semester, the first week of class, I have them work on this general section before they actually get into the course content of do I want to be a teacher in this section. So I will hide all the sections by scrolling down and going to edit and hide section. That way the students will only see the material that they are currently working on, and that will keep it clear in their minds of what they're supposed to do. And now that you've hidden the section, make sure at the beginning of each week that you show the section so students will be able to see it by going to Edit and Show Section. Something else I like to do is to highlight the section that the students are currently working on. I can go to Edit and I would highlight this section. That puts this green bar at the top, and that just indicates to students that this is the section that they are working on for that week. We are also going to want to check our gradebook because sometimes during import, some of the settings in our gradebook may get skewed. So I will come up here to my navigation and go to grades. And of course, whenever I do this, I end up in the grader report. So I'm going to drop down to my gradebook setup, and I'm just going to check my settings here, and I'm going to make sure that all of my categories are set up as simple weighted mean of grades as shown in the gradebook tutorial, that all of my weightings are correct in my gradebook according to my course syllabus. My course total should be weighted mean of grades, and I just make sure that everything looks right, and if not, I can make adjustments here. And to edit items in the gradebook, notice next to the name of each item there is an edit under actions, and we can edit the settings of that item if we need to. In addition, we can change the weights here just by typing into this box, and we can also move things by clicking on this up and down arrow, and when we select it, it will allow us to move it to another area in the gradebook. So for example, if I click on this one, what happens is these little icons show up, and whichever one I click on is where that item will be moved. So if I click here, it will move that item to that area of the gradebook. And we need to make sure we save changes, of course. So that's it. Thank you for joining me for this hot topic of updating your course after import. See you next time.